XRP cannot reset the global debt market. Not legally, not mechanically, and not economically. The idea sounds compelling, but it collapses under even basic scrutiny. This matters, guys, because trillions of dollars have been invested based on this belief. If you understand why it's wrong, though, you also understand what XRP can realistically do and where the value actually exists. In minute 3, we are going to expose the single assumption that makes the debt reset narrative completely impossible. But here's the core mistake. Global debt is not a liquidity problem. It is a balance sheet problem. XRP, we know, can move value efficiently, but it cannot erase obligations, rewrite sovereign liabilities, or neutralize counterparty risk. And once you separate settlement from solvency, the myth breaks immediately. So what does resetting the debt actually require? It would require legal extinguishment of liabilities, consent from the creditors. Like, okay, you don't have to pay me. What? It's going to change sovereign balance sheets and treaty level coordination. None of this happens at the payment layer. Debt is governed by contracts, courts, and political authority, not transaction speed. And this is where most XRP theories quietly change their definitions. So why is XRP getting pulled into this narrative? Well, let's talk about it. XRP is super fast. It's amazingly fast. And the network is awesome. The XRPL is one of the most awesome pieces of technology ever developed. XRP is liquid and it's borderless. And those traits make it attractive for settlement optimization. But it's not going to restructure debt. The narrative leap happens when speed gets confused with resolution. Moving money faster does not change who owes who. The next section, though, is going to explain why central banks would never even allow this anyway. Okay? They would never allow it. This is what institutions care about the most right now, and it's rarely discussed in crypto circles. The global debt system is deliberately slow. Say it again. The global debt system is deliberately slow. Not because it's outdated, but because control and stability matter more than efficiency. They'd rather be slow and get it right than go super fast and have to undo a whole bunch of stuff. Okay? So in a moment, we are going to explain why speed is actually a liability at a global payment scale. So why can banks not reset debt with a token? Okay, because we're talking about XRP resetting the global debt. And I said, nope, not happening. So why can't the debt be reset with an XRP token? Because central banks manage their debt in a couple ways. Through monetary policy, fiscal coordination, inflation, restructuring in default. And guys, let's get a little skeptical here. Countries print money. Inflation is part of how they operate. Debt, keeping people in debt, is how they operate. Why would they want to erase it? Right? We'll do a whole conspiracy theory video on that, but just think about that. Okay? They don't want to outsource these tools to public blockchains. Even central bank digital currencies, which are fully sovereign, do not erase debt. They simply modernize the issuance and settlement of it. And XRP operates outside sovereign control, and that alone disqualifies it from being a debt reset mechanism. But that doesn't mean XRP has no role, right? We'll talk about its role here in a second. And what can XRP realistically do? It can reduce cross-border settlement costs. We know it's lightning fast, and the fees are tiny. It can improve liquidity efficiency and lower capital lockup in correspondent banking. And all those things are meaningful, very meaningful, but they're incremental, not revolutionary. It optimizes the underlying plumbing. It doesn't rewrite the financial system. And this distinction is critical for valuation expectations. So if that's the case, why does the myth on the internet that XRP can reset global debt, why is it still persistent out there? Let's talk about it. The debt reset story persists because it offers simplicity. People can understand it. They can wrap their head around this narrative. Even though it's wrong, they believe it because it's easy to believe. It's one asset, one switch, boom, one global fix. But real finance, does not work that way. It's layered, it's political, and it's constrained by law. Believing otherwise leads to mispriced expectations and poor investment decisions. So let's return. What did we talk about right in the beginning? XRP is not going to reset global debt. Not gonna happen. But it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to do it to be profitable, because its value lies in efficiency, not absolution, in optimization, not erasure. So if you want to understand where blockchain actually intersects with sovereign finance, tokenization, settlement layers, and regulated corridors, watch the next video. That's where reality replaces the narrative.